go back to our top story, which of course is still so sad, isn't it? Following the devastating attack at the Christmas market in the German city of Magdeburg. Now, the Saudi Arabian government are claiming that they repeatedly warned the country's authorities about the man now suspected of driving a car right into the crowds.
Yeah, German media are reporting that the man's identity as Taleb al-Abdel Mohsen, a 50-year-old Saudi doctor, the German's interior minister says holds Islamophobic views.
Well, the suspect has been arrested and he remains under investigation on suspicion of murder, attempted murder, and causing bodily harm.
And with 200 injured and 5 dead, including, sadly, a 9-year-old girl, Germany faces a Christmas mourning its loss.
Homeside concerns have been raised in the likes of Birmingham, for instance, where their Christmas market security is being reviewed. In London, the Met are warning the public to stay vigilant in wake of Friday's attack. How do you stay vigilant? I mean, if you watch the terrible video that was circulating on the internet on this, how could you save yourself from that? You can't.
You can't. It just happens.
There weren't enough seconds to take in what's happened before you've been hit.
Precisely. And joining us now to discuss this, the former senior military intelligence officer, Philip Ingram. Philip, always a pleasure to have your company on GB News. The world is mourning, and now, of course, the questions are being asked about how this terror attack was allowed to happen in the first place. And, of course, all eyes seem to be on a lapse of security. A lapse of security, it appears, around an emergency vehicle entrance. This individual clearly knew the area. It seems he spec'd it out and took advantage of that critical weakness.
It seems just that. You know, the security around what we call publicly accessible locations and Christmas markets in Germany have been targeted beforehand. You know, the security around those has been upped for a number of years, but you should not have entrances which allow vehicles to come in at speed without some form of control on them. And the Christmas markets around the UK, you know, for those that are concerned about them, I know put an awful lot of effort into making sure that these sorts of things cannot happen.
You know, when the police say that you've got to be a member of the public has got to be vigilant, what does that really mean? Does it mean anything?
It does, and you know, vigilance isn't going to stop someone who's found a weakness in the protected surround to a public accessible location, drives a car at high speed into it. Vigilance comes into anything else where we get this gut feeling that something's wrong. Because very often your gut feeling is very right in what it's doing, and it's wider than just this sort of incident. So it covers, you know, anything where people think things are wrong within the local community, within where they are when they're out, and if you get that gut feeling, either get away from the place or report it to the authorities. That's what the authorities want. They will then sift through that and try and understand why your gut feeling's saying that, and whether there is an actual threat or not.
And Philip, the tip-offs to British counter-terror police have gone up 50% in the past year. People clearly on high alert. But can I ask you a broader question about the story, the backdrop of this perpetrator, Taleb al-Abdel Mohsen, claiming to be anti-Islamic, yet all the modus operandi of this attack, it was specifically targeting a Christmas market, specifically a Christian festival. And there are reports coming out that he was wanted in Saudi Arabia, wanted on threat of deportation. He claimed himself he'd be slaughtered if he was deported. As an intelligence officer, Philip, would you start to ask questions about the veracity of that story?
You always ask questions, but your priority is not necessarily the story. It's first and foremost understanding whether the individual's working alone or working as part of a wider group of people. So to try and reduce the threat that's there, and then get into the individual motivations and try to see if there's anything you can pick up from that would have allowed you to identify the individual as an attacker beforehand, and identify others that may be motivated in the same way. Now, it's clear that from the reports that we're getting that the Saudi authorities have tried to warn the German authorities. You know, I've lived in Germany. I've carried out intelligence operations in Germany, and it's a very, very difficult environment because of the different layers of intelligence organizations that there are across Germany who don't talk to each other. In the UK, we're very lucky because whether it's the local police, whether it's the counter-terror police who act on a national basis, everyone talks to each other. So we're in a much better position than Germany is, and it's shocking, this.
I mean, a lot of our viewers and a lot of people who are talking about this at the moment fear that we're being spun a line in some way, because none of it adds up, does it?
Yeah.
To be told that he's an anti-Islamist when he did what he did, allegedly, I suppose I have to say, and his background, it just doesn't seem to add up. And a lot of people suspect we're being managed by, I don't know, the police, the authorities in Germany, who don't want a knee-jerk reaction.
Well, it doesn't add up, and very often it doesn't. But the motivation of the individual really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because the end result is the same, whether they're extreme right wing, extreme left wing, Islamist, or some other terror organization. We've got 5 people dead, 200 injured, and you find that all of the different terror organizations and individuals that get motivated in exactly the same way. So why they've done it is important to make sure that you can identify that there aren't more people who are being motivated that way and stop any further attacks. But is it going to change what actually happened? No, not really. So people get focused on the why too quickly, whenever it's really important to make sure that there isn't any more of it going to happen.
Philip, do you think it's fair to say, I took my children to Winter Wonderland in London a couple of weeks ago. There are crash barriers everywhere. We've seen viewers have sent pictures in from Manchester, from Birmingham, in Surrey. Armed police patrolling Christmas markets are now routine. Is this, we can see, this is the pictures now of Birmingham. Pal of mine sent this through. You can see the entrance there. That would be an emergency entrance. That bar on your screen, something similar in Magdeburg may have been breached. But look, it is highly fortress-like. It's metal barriers. A car can't get through it. Is this depressing backdrop now just a part of Christmas? This is the new normal. The terror threat is now so substantive and so repetitive that sadly and tragically this reminder of terrorism is now literally part and parcel of Christmas.
I think it is a sad reality of life that terror is something that is in our society. And in the UK, that's part of the National Barrier Network that you saw the pictures of there that are put around publicly accessible locations. There's a new piece of legislation coming in. It's just reached its 3rd reading in the House of Commons, called Martin's Law, which is all about ensuring that there is a basic level of security around publicly accessible locations. That was brought in after the horrible attack in Manchester and the Ariana Grande concert, where one of the victims, Martin Hett, his mother, Thegan Murray, has been campaigning to get a piece of legislation brought in just to mandate a basic level of security. There's no legal requirement for this at the moment. And until this law comes in, that will then give that legal requirement. And this is what's shocking. And we're ahead of the game compared to many other countries around the world.
Okay, thank you very much. Sobering stuff. Thanks for your expertise. As ever, former senior military intelligence officer Philip Ingram there. Thank you.